One of the original members of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants was Jason Wyngarde, aka Mastermind, a fictional character created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Magneto, who was still a fierce enemy of humanity, had always directed Jason's every action and kept him under his thumb. Because of his ability to construct illusions that were exceedingly lifelike, he served as an early enemy of the X-Men. His innovative cruelty made up for his physical shortcomings. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video to learn more about Mastermind. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. So thank you, and let's begin. Beginning of the Mastermind lore. When most people were still unaware of mutants, Jason Wyngarde nurtured his mutant abilities, mostly hidden from the general population. Then again, Wyngarde's capacity for mental deception was only known to Magneto. When Wyngarde joined Magneto's new gang, he took the name Mastermind and became one of the original members of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Because he had earlier only been able to get employment as a mentalist or charlatan at carnivals, Wyngarde appreciated Magneto's goals. The Mastermind made his first appearance in X-Men Volume 1, Issue 4. In order to commemorate the school's first anniversary, Professor Xavier hides a cake inside of a box that Marvel Girl must lift with the help of her telekinetic abilities. In the meantime, Scarlet Witch, Mastermind, Toad, and 4 other mutants are seen eating together. Mastermind is disgusted with the Toad and uses an illusion to bother him. The Scarlet Witch seems uninterested in Mastermind despite his attempts to make an impression on her and finds his illusion as repulsive as sharing a meal with Toad. She is threatened by Mastermind, but Quicksilver steps in to save his sister. As Magneto returns, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants takes a ship that Magneto had earlier stolen to invade the little South American country of Santo Marco. After learning about the attack, Professor Xavier uses his telepathic abilities to speak with Magneto on the astral dimension. For the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants to quickly seize control of Santo Marco, Mastermind fabricates a fake army to terrorize the local inhabitants. He watched with delight as Magneto tortured the populace. As Professor Xavier and the X-Men arrive in Santo Marco, Mastermind deals with the Beast by making him think that the castle walls are made up of glass, making him lose his grip. Mastermind then tries to frighten the X-Men away by projecting an illusion of a firewall in their path. Although the fire is a hoax, Professor Xavier enters it to reassure his students that they have nothing to worry about. The X-Men come up with a strategy to take on the Brotherhood, but they are unaware that the castle door has been rigged with an explosive. Professor Xavier recognizes the threat just as Beast is about to unlock the door and rushes to save the X-Men. Magneto leaves the battle and the country after setting up a nuclear explosive to end the warfare. Mastermind and the rest of the Brotherhood flee the scene, but Quicksilver discreetly defuses the bomb that would have destroyed both the X-Men and the entire country. Later on, Magneto entrusted Mastermind with finding the X-Men. In spite of having followed them to Westchester County, Mastermind informed back that he had not been able to locate them. Unbeknownst to Mastermind, he reported this while standing in front of Xavier's door. He was taken back to Asteroid M by Quicksilver under the orders from Magneto. As Toad jumped on Mastermind there, shocking him, the latter utilized his abilities to conjure an illusion in which Toad found himself covered in fabric as payback. Later, the X-Men head out to save a mutant from an angry mob at the track meet, only to realize the mutant that they had saved was none other than Toad. Then they get ambushed by all the members of the Brotherhood. Mastermind surrounded Iceman in his fight with the X-Men by projecting illusions of himself, but the moment Marvel Girl lifted Mastermind into the air, all his illusions vanished. As Marvel Girl's focus shifted to an adjacent fight between Cyclops and Quicksilver, he was let go. It is then that Magneto decides to abandon Toad and leave with Angel as their hostage. Mastermind again uses his powers to conjure a rhino, leading to the crowd running amok, creating the perfect diversion for their escape. When they are returned to Asteroid M, Magneto questions Angel about the whereabouts of the other X-Men. However, Angel won't tell him. Afterwards, Magneto makes an effort to brainwash Angel. As Toad unexpectedly enters a trance, the X-Men struggle to decide what to do with him. He pulls out a communicator and commands a capsule to fall from the sky, since all he could think about is that he needs to get back to Magneto. In an effort to locate Angel, the X-Men pursue the Toad. The Brotherhood is shocked to see them on Asteroid M. Mastermind then again targets the beast, this time making him think that his legs are made out of dough, rendering him immobile. However, when he takes out his gun to shoot, he loses his connection with the beast, who defeats him using his superior reflexes. Mastermind and Toad run and inform Magneto about the intruders, unable to resolve the conflict by themselves. The ensuing conflict destroys the asteroid before the X-Men safely return to Earth. Namor refuses the Brotherhood's offer. To surprise Magneto, Mastermind conjured up the image of Cyclops. During the surprise, Magneto fired at the fictitious Cyclops with the weapon in his hand. Mastermind was able to avoid the weapon's discharge thanks to his swift instincts. Nevertheless, this evasive action put the Scarlet Witch in peril. Following this, Magneto was extremely upset with the Mastermind for the unexpected illusion. He charged Mastermind with a magnetic blast while admonishing him not ever try tricks on his commander. Mastermind said that he didn't plan to hurt anyone and was only attempting to nurture his abilities further. When Mastermind met Namor, he wasn't impressed. He claimed Namor looked to be a little more than a person in swimming trunks despite his popularity. A short while afterwards, Mastermind was attacked by the Angel. By giving the impression that a roadblock made of spinal roots was in place, Mastermind hoped to stop the X-Men from invading Magneto's island. When Professor X realized the phony wall was just an illusion, he told the X-Men to just go through it. During the actual battle with the X-Men, the impact of Cyclops' blast pushed Mastermind to the ground. When the X-Men got close and his allies were helpless, Mastermind came up with a scheme to save himself. He conjured up an amazing fog illusion, blinding the X-Men. He didn't expect Iceman's unpredictable assault and his subsequent effort to fully freeze the area around them. Magneto yelled for Mastermind to join him and provided a way out, as they were about to get caught in the ice. As he fled, Mastermind grumbled about how fast the X-Men recovered from each failure. Magneto attacked Namor, but was easily beaten back. As Mastermind yelled, "Namor beat us!" Magneto snapped, zapping him with magnetism. A prideful Magneto simply wasn't fond of his failures. Recruiting Blob into the Brotherhood. After Magneto failed at recruiting Namor, he set out to recruit Blob into the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. But before that, Mastermind suggested a partnership during a private conversation with the Scarlet Witch. He believed that their combined skills might be better than Magneto's. He also promised her a lavish yet unattainable lifestyle. Wanda informed him that she would eventually leave the Brotherhood and would turn down his offer. She said that his mere illusions were exceedingly far from true power. Wanda was trying to stand with Magneto, but Mastermind, who was outraged, tried to talk her out of it. He told her that Magneto was callous, emotionless entity. Magneto interrupted their conversation in a furious manner. He commanded utmost loyalty from Mastermind as he thrashed him against a wall. During a battle between the Brotherhood and several carnies, Mastermind used illusions of snakes and volcanoes on them. As he felt confident, he tried to brag to impress the Scarlet Witch. She gently pointed out that he wasn't alone in his illusions and that other carnies were getting ready to encircle and attack them. As Mastermind grew afraid and the carnies were put to an end, the Scarlet Witch was forced to save him. When Blob joined the Brotherhood, he claimed that he could destroy the X-Men by himself. Mastermind called him an idiot and reminded him that the X-Men had already defeated all of them. Mastermind said he wanted all the help that he can get. Unus the Untouchable. After the recruitment of Blob into the Brotherhood, Hank has a fallout with the X-Men, and he establishes himself as a pro wrestler named Beast. His most recent adversary is Unus the Untouchable. Hank makes a number of efforts to attack Unus, but he is constantly stopped by an elusive force field. Before discovering that the two men are friends, Hank is astonished to find the Mastermind in the throng. After the battle, Mastermind walks inside Unus's locker area as Unus inquires if he could still join the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Mastermind warns Unus that in light of Namor and Blob's recent failings, he must first prove his loyalty in order to be allowed as a member. Unus is informed that he must find or possibly even defeat one of the X-Men. Mastermind gets into Sebastian Shaw's inner circle. When Wingard ultimately attained the age of maturity, he joined the Hellfire Club alongside the wealthy and influential members of society. He became a key member of Sebastian Shaw's inner circle there, a select group of powerful mutants and superhumans who positioned themselves according to chess pieces, and he gained notoriety as a result. Shaw was informed about Phoenix, the latest X-Men member, and maybe the most powerful and deadly mutant in the universe. He wanted Phoenix to be a part of the inner circle, therefore he had to exploit Mastermind's illusionary powers. Acquiring the Phoenix would be crucial in establishing his qualification for membership in the inner circle, something that Mastermind had always craved for, more power on the inside. For months at a time, he would keep running across Jean in different guises, in different places, a priest on an airline, maybe a young surfer on the beach. Through these interactions, Mastermind thought that he would be able to win her over with time. When the X-Men looked for Dazzler, the most recent new mutant that Cerebro had identified at a city nightclub, Phoenix began to see astonishingly vivid pictures. She was transported to 18th century Britain in these recollections, where she was courted by a man only known as Nikos. He had a large beard, thick curling hair, and medieval clothing. Phoenix learned that she was drawn to Nikos and struggled to make sense of her feelings for Cyclops, her current partner, and what she thought to be memories from a prior life. The reality between the two of them was usually hazy. She ultimately caved into her recollections of her previous life and performed an aristocratic Victorian marriage with Wingard. Behind the whole charade, it was two mutants with telepathic abilities that were brainwashing Phoenix. Mastermind's illusionary skills were being amplified as Emma Frost's talents were being enhanced by her mind-tapped gadget. Though Mastermind was unable to project his skills far enough to achieve the intended effect, he was able to send his illusions into Phoenix's head from a vast distance. Together, they were able to persuade Phoenix to succeed as the Black Queen of the Hellfire Club. They took Phoenix by the hand and convinced her to rebel against the X-Men. Mastermind and the White Queen were unaware of the deep telepathic bond that existed between Cyclops and Phoenix. Using this mental link, he attempted to engage with Mastermind in the astral realm. Nevertheless, Cyclops' own abilities were comparatively undeveloped because he had never before engaged in a mental battle, while Mastermind's abilities were reinforced by Emma Frost's strong telepathy. During their psychic duel, Mastermind essentially killed Cyclops. As a result, Phoenix lost control due to the psionic fallout. Even though Mastermind had been vanquished by Cyclops, the Phoenix was still furious. The Hellfire Club had shown Phoenix the alluring aspects of power, and she had relished in that. She became the Dark Phoenix out of her rage, changing from the Black Queen. Mastermind was the target of her first power play. She gained his awareness and made him aware of the size of the cosmos. He expanded his intellect, and while his physical body stayed in New York, he became one with the cosmos. Due to his catatonic state, the police would later apprehend him and take him into a mental hospital. As he came to them in his true nature, significantly older in appearance, which he had been using his powers to conceal for years at that point, it might be assumed that they didn't recognize him. Mastermind returns to seek vengeance. Mastermind started to feel better gradually. Years later, he became angry and vengeful, vowing to get vengeance on those he considered responsible for what had happened to him. The newest Brotherhood of Evil Mutants members were the first casualties. Rogue's mental strength had already been diminished by the addition of Miss Marvel's talents and mindset. In this circumstance, Mastermind may simply sway her opinions in order to persuade her to leave the team she once liked. Mystique, the current leader of the Brotherhood, was already having nightmares brought on by Mastermind. This served as the foundation of her misery until she subsequently lost Rogue, her adopted daughter, and as a result, left her family in ruins. Mastermind even resorted to avenging whatever happened with Cyclops. Though no one at the time knew it, Madeline Pryor, Cyclops' fiancée, shared a strong physical likeness with Jean Grey despite being her genetic clone. alone. He was successful in convincing the X-Men that she was the Dark Phoenix resurrected. When he used his powers of deception to turn the X-Men against Cyclops, he was eventually defeated by him. Although Mastermind was unable to ruin Cyclops' new romance, he succeeded in spoiling Wolverine's relationship. Mastermind was more diplomatic this time, just as he had been with Rogue and Mystique. By gradually and carefully applying his skills, Mastermind left Mariko Yashida wondering about Logan and his past. He ultimately succeeded in convincing her to reject Wolverine on the day of their wedding, scoring a humiliating victory for the group that had spurned his best efforts. Phoenix's genetic daughter, Rachel Summers, was the object of his most recent dispute with her family. This time, Wingard made an effort to use Phoenix energy for himself, but Rachel was the new Phoenix. This brought him into conflict with Rachel and her crew, Excalibur. In a later competitive battle, he lost to a mental hallucination that caused him to believe that he had acquired total cosmic knowledge and defeated all of his opponents. Demise of Mastermind. For many years, Wingard was not brought up again. He had mysteriously contacted the X-Men and requested a second meeting with Phoenix. When the X-Men arrived on the island for their conference, they were confronted by assaults from all directions. They believed that they were victims of a trap, but as soon as Jean got to Mastermind, she realized the reality. Despite the fact that Jason Wingard had never been a physically strong man, his body was rotting and disintegrating. His powers were unrestrained because he had the Legacy virus, which was quickly degenerating. He had hoped to talk to Phoenix one more time and persuade him to change, but he was helpless to stop his own powers from attacking the X-Men. Despite the fact that they had been rivals, Phoenix was the only woman he had ever truly loved. This is why he begged for Jean Grey's forgiveness when she came back to him after escaping his illusion world, where all of her desires had come true. He apologized for what he had done to her at the Hellfire Club and asked to be forgiven. Wingard was absolved without being aware of the Phoenix's identity because of Jean's compassion. He was able to pass away since both his mind and spirit were now at peace. While other mutants have been restored, Mastermind has not. His legacy lives on. In a flashback, it was revealed that Mastermind had torn Sentry's consciousness in two halves using his powers, resulting in the Void, a vicious and powerful creature that was the antithesis of the Sentry. The other half of Sentry adopted the heroic persona of the Devil, who was one half of the duo. Both Jason Wingard's name and his talents live on in two of the daughters that he had while still a mentalist. Reagan Wingard, Jason's half-sister, has adopted the name Lady Mastermind, while Martinique, Jason, has been awarded the title of the second Mastermind. Since then, it has been discovered that another little kid, Pixie, of the new X-Men, also inherited her father's talents. Mastermind had a strong relationship with Mrs. Gwen, who gave birth to and raised Pixie, which is shown in her illusion-based powers. Resurrection of Mastermind. Years later, when Krakoa, a mutant nation, was founded and a system of reviving mutants there was devised, Mastermind was brought back to life. In order to fight the Katati and Genoshan mutate zombies there during the Katati invasion of Earth, he recruited aid from all available sidekicks. Jason's daughter, Martinique, was subsequently kidnapped by Arcade so that Jason would follow his instructions. Jason utilized Sage's hallucination to lure the Hellions to New York City and trick the Quiet Council before poisoning Mr. Sinister. He also used Jason's illusions to shock the Hellions' brains and kill them. As he and Sinister were collaborating, this turned out to be a hoax. Once Mastermind built Arcade's clone farm and turned him into a mental slave, Sinister betrayed him and took over the facility behind the Quiet Council's back. The Hellions were subsequently told that they had defeated Arcade and escaped unhurt. Mastermind in the X-Men, the animated series. Mastermind, voiced by Nigel Bennett, appeared in the Dark Phoenix Saga episodes along the other members of the Inner Circle. Similar to the comics, he uses his powers to project his illusions into the mind of Jean Grey with the help of Miss Frost. Unlike the comics, however, Jason doesn't use the alias of Nikos and appears as himself, albeit on a ship in the Victorian era. He also seems to be a handsome young man until the Dark Phoenix reveals his old, frailing state. Other versions of Mastermind. Mastermind manifests as Ultimate Mastermind on Earth 1610. Ultimate Mastermind is lanky, has white hair, wears sunglasses, has a ponytail, and has a beatnik-like appearance, in contrast to his Earth 616 counterpart, who originally had a medium frame, trimmed black hair, and long sideburns. He also appeared here as a member of Magneto's Brotherhood, in this case, the Brotherhood of Mutant Supremacy. Jason was one of the numerous people who fell prey to Apocalypse's oppression during the terrible time period known as the Age of Apocalypse on Earth 295. Sugarman's experiments left him speech impaired, but Forge and Magneto were able to save him. And what if Wolverine led Alpha fight? Mastermind served as Black King of the Hellfire Club. Mastermind had used his deceptions to trick Jean Grey into becoming romantically involved with him, marrying him, and then transforming him into the Black King. How powerful is Jason Wyngarde? Mastermind is a mutant with the power to cast illusions. He has the ability to use telepathy to make other people see things that are not actually audible, visible, tactical, factory, or gustatory. As his powers only impact the mind, it is possible to record his illusions on film, tape, or with any kind of recording technology. Yet because of how deeply his power penetrates the mind, even if his victims are aware that they are encountering an illusion, they would still react to it as if it were reality unless they can eliminate all doubts. To deceive his adversaries, Mastermind possesses the capacity to create illusionary clones of himself. The clones would, however, vanish if Mastermind lost concentration. Marvelous appearances of Jason Wyngarde. In Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, Magneto came up with a scheme to free his fellow mutants who were imprisoned. Mastermind was one of the mutants released. As Magneto's aide, Mastermind makes intermittent appearances in X-Men Evolution. Magneto constantly taunts him, although he seems to respect him to some level. Although possessing a dark side when left to his own devices, he is not very cruel. Mastermind, a significant adversary in the X-Men anime series, is voiced by Travis Willingham in the English dub and Haruhiko Jo in the Japanese version. Mastermind is depicted as the leader of the Hellfire Club and as a more attractive man in comparison to the comics. In the second X-Men movie, Michael Reed McKay portrays Mastermind, a minor foe. He defies comic book conventions and is William Stryker's son, Jason Stryker. He is considered a powerful mutant illusionist who studied under Charles Xavier at the Xavier Institute in Westchester in the past. Marvelous verdict. Although Mastermind's abilities were initially quite weak, he developed them to the point where he could trick characters like Wolverine, who is immune to such deceptions, and telepaths like Jean or Rachel Grey, into believing his delusions were true, even imprisoning them in alternate universes he created. Mastermind indeed proved himself to be a very powerful adversary. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and share, and for more exciting videos in the future, please subscribe to our channel. And in the meantime, have a good one and be safe. Thank you, everybody.